think we're live, and you can watch it
Right.
on YouTube on the Love It or Hate It YouTube.
Oh, here, I'm on there. I haven't even messed with that account, and I actually have an account with them now, so I guess I should. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I think wearing that headband it makes me look like I'm plugging for the trans movement. I know it sounds so stupid, but it's still funny. Um,
I don't mind the headband. I think it's fine.
it's my hair's getting long and it's in my face.
It just helps get
Um,
it's a practical thing to get your hair out of the face.
I haven't had long hair in a while, but having it up off of my back of my neck is so because it's so hot. I mean,
Yeah.
your hair's long, so I imagine you have that. Just that sitting on the back of your neck, it's oh man, that gets hot.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
if I was working outside, my hair would be up all day. And when I teach fitness classes, I'm like moving my hair's up in a ponytail most of the day when I'm like teaching
Mhm.
my classes. So I just take it down when I'm not working.
I don't know. I haven't had long hair since I was in high school. Um, so that's why I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. But it's it's very difficult trying to be pretty.
Well, it's difficult for some of us. No, I'm just kidding.
Difficult for me.
Uh,
Shit. Yeah.
It's
But
actually
no,
not where I am at the beach right now,
oh,
but
that's you didn't hear me earlier when you were gone. I said it'd be really funny that if in the background every now and then you could see somebody drowning.
oh gosh,
Just very
no.
far in the distance, you kind of see them kicking around, and just eventually they
Oh,
go under and you don't see them anymore. I just think that'd be fun. And
oh,
maybe like a kid walks by looking for somebody. I don't know. It's a little morbid, but it'd be funny as hell.
that might be kind of funny.
Mm. Oh, I brought these plates uh that we can cover if you want to. It's plates meaning there's this book by Norman Davies. You know that guy? Norman Davies.
I don't.
I think you'd call him a biographer, but he's British, so if you read his stuff, you have to read it in a British accent. But he does histories of places and histories of times, and I have his history of Europe, and he has these plates in them, which essentially is just a page that has a little cutout section. It's not necessarily with the historical timeline, but it's just something that was going on in that time period. Um, but it's a
Okay.
cool book because every page, the reason I like it, every page is a year.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you go from the beginning of Europe all the way to the end. That's why the book was fun. But the plates are just every now and then he'll throw one in, and it's just some way to fill up a page. But it's so the subjects I got, you can pick. We can do all of them, but if you want to pick one, um, handshakes, syphilis, buggery, or cat burning.
Wait, what
I know
is
those are all really popular,
those
but
are very random.
I know
Um,
that's what makes it fun. Yeah.
what is
Uh,
buggery?
handshakes, syphilis, buggery, or cat burning. Four subjects.
So cat burning sounds really awful. I don't want to know about cat burning,
I mean, it already happened. It's history.
but it's still sad. What is buggery?
Buggery is here, let's do it. I can tell you what it means, but
I
I mean,
just don't
I'll
know
do it
what it
from
is. Is it like the study of bugs?
no, that's entomology. Buggery is buggery. I mean, for the easiest way to explain it is it's a derogatory term for the acts of homosexual men, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Uh,
Well, if it's derogatory, I don't know if I want to go down that route.
oh no, oh no, it's not. I mean, I was just going to tell you the history of the word. Doesn't
Okay.
mean we agree with it, but it's but you could say I think there's even movies I've seen, old British characters where they'll say he buggered him, which essentially means he fucked him in the ass, but it's a nicer way to say it. Like
Oh,
it's British, it's like
agree.
buggery, yeah. And you can say it, hold your nose if you want.
Why don't we
Um,
start with handshakes?
that's fine, that's fine. But it's just a word. Yeah, it's not hurt anybody. Handshakes 542. Let me find it. Uh, yeah, I got this book because I'm not at the beach. I got a book instead. Um, oh, here we go. Uh, so I'm only reading a portion of it, but the English literally refused to kowtow in China, which is the bow, right?
Yeah.
Also abandoned uh, bowing at home in the late 18th century, inventing the handshake as an easier form of sexless and classless greeting. A largesse done, said Madame Bovary in 1857 when offered a gentleman's hand. In the 12th century, however, the English became much more obstinately reticent, frequently refusing to shake hands while Continentals did so routinely. But anyway, the point of it is that the handshake's invented because the British didn't want to bow when they saw the Chinese doing it. They don't want to. They did it before that. They bowed just like Chinese, but
Okay.
they invented the handshake because once they saw they did it, they didn't want to do it the same way.
Because they thought, oh, we have to be different.
And there's syphilis too,
Better.
which is on the list. But syphilis was another reason why you didn't want to shake hands with people because everybody had syphilis. So,
Nice.
but yeah, it's so the handshake was invented because the British didn't want to look like Chinese people.
Because the
That's
British are
the
racist.
British on it. So if you would have seen, I guess, but if you'd have seen British before, or the English, sorry, if you'd have seen the English before uh, they met the Chinese, they would have bowed the same way, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So a thing that seemed very Asian is something that everybody did, but we just stopped doing it because we don't want to be like everybody else. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like, what's wrong with bowing and saying hello that way? I don't see anything super wrong with it.
What's the term? But it's religious. Is genuflect? Genuflect or what's that when a little girl does it? Like you see the little girl with her dress, she does the
Mhm.
little bow. You know what I'm talking about?
A curtsy.
A curtsy. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's also like a ballet term is to curtsy.
Okay.
Curtsy, bow. It's weird how it's it originated with like different genders, like what females curtsy, but boys bow. Um,
Okay.
and and it's funny when I was trained to do this sounds silly, but when I was trained to do these like princess parties for kids, I was actually trained to teach princess and prince lessons to these young kids. And I was trained to teach princesses curtsy and princes bow. But now in the times we're living in, I teach both. And I'll say, because times have changed, I just took it upon myself because I don't want to offend any parents, right?
So you teach the whole class to do both.
Well, so when I was yeah, so when I first got trained to do these princess parties, which was like almost 10 years ago now, um, yeah, actually it was over 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, over 10 years ago is when I first started doing those princess. They basically, explain these different games you're supposed to play with kids. And one of them is
Mhm.
prince and princess lessons. And the first rule is to always be nice and polite and kind to your friends. And the second rule is the way princesses and princes stand, the way they curtsy and bow. And there were two very distinctions between princesses curtsying and princes bowing. But now in 2024, whenever I do these gigs, I'll be like, who wants to learn how to curtsy? This is how
Oh,
you,
that makes sense.
who
Okay,
wants
that
to
makes
learn how
sense.
to bow? And I don't separate
Mhm.
it like, this is what boys do, this is what girls do. I just say, this is what royalty does.
That's
Um,
right. And if you don't like your penis, you can cut it right the fuck off. That's it. That's, let's have a secret meeting.
But it's
Um,
funny, even when I'm like teaching ballet and I'm teaching girls how to curtsy, it's like a ballet term as well. And it's
mhm.
just funny to me. Like, there's no boys at this little ballet school. There's like no boys. There was one boy in one class at this school, and then I switched locations, and I haven't seen any boys at this new location. It's just weird how that is
It's
with that.
odd that ballet seems feminine. It's odd that it doesn't have a masculine quality to it because the guys who do ballet, they're very fucking strong. Like they're
Oh yeah,
standing on their fucking toes and they're taking somebody, a woman that probably weighs 80, 90 pounds, but they're taking 80 or 90 pounds and throwing it. That
yeah,
and and they're doing it
catching
gracefully.
it.
Was that?
Yeah, they're throwing
Yeah,
it
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's
gracefully.
graceful. It's not like I would do it, which
Yeah.
like you kind of fall on me. Like I would catch you macho style. Like I'd squat down. They're up very high. Yeah, that's it would seem like that would be considered masculine, but it isn't. I don't know why. You know what? Because ballet has that French quality to what is it called? Savate? No, is it savate? I think it's called savate, but it's a French kickboxing, and it looks like ballet, and it's very light. And the fighters that are the best at it are very long. They have that like very long form, but everything's really easy, and a lot of the stuff looks like ballet. Looks like you do pirouettes and stuff to avoid people. But
Interesting.
it's very looks like Muhammad Ali boxing as opposed to the other people that he was boxing. Like it looks very light and he's kind of dancing,
Yeah.
whereas the other fighters look really rooted. So I wonder if that has that same feel to it. You don't know what I'm talking about?
I've never heard of Savate, and I'm not
I might
familiar
be.
with like a ballet type of boxing, but that sounds cool. I feel
Mhm.
like boxing is very much of like a dance, you know. Um, it's very much about like you're trying to dance, but you're also like competing at the same time. So it's like a competitive dance almost when you're boxing. But there's definitely like you have to give and you have to push. I don't know. Um,
It is savate.
yeah.
I googled it just so I could find it. But French kickboxing combat sport that uses the hands and feet as weapons, combining elements of English boxing and kicking techniques. I don't know if you saw it. It looks really. I don't know. It's not as it's not as macho looking. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it. I'm not explaining it very well. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, to be a male ballet dancer, and it's interesting because like even in 2024, when you go see ballets, the men are still the ones lifting up the women. It's not the other
mhm.
way around. But you have to be really strong to do that. And
The women probably could though, right? They're strong enough. I mean, this
yeah,
ballet, they're lifting each
yeah.
other.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen a ballet where a woman lifts another woman. And even in like the couple dance where it's like two dancers sort of dancing together, it's always
Hmm.
like there's always like the masculine and the feminine. The one that does the lifting does these more like masculine moves.
Hmm.
I don't know. Ballet's kind of an interesting art form that hasn't really changed, even though a lot of sports are changing because of like transgender issues. Ballet still hasn't changed, I don't think.
I don't know, but if you did the trans thing, I don't know. Yeah, it wouldn't. Would it change anything? Because both the men are obviously different sized, but you could, I don't know, you could wear a costume. It wouldn't really, um,
Yeah. Well,
it wouldn't change the play necessarily. If I was watching a play and a guy picked a role that a girl would, there's so few times when it would, well, no, I'm trying to think. Well, maybe it'd matter. I don't know.
I just meant
I
as
don't
far
know.
as like it's still very female dominant and the
Ballet
men,
is female dominant.
yeah.
Okay.
And men are still doing like the lifting, you know, as far as I know.
I mean,
But
I don't know. I didn't know it was female dominant. I honestly thought that there was more males, but they just weren't in the United States.
that may be
It just
true.
wasn't. Yeah.
That may be true. I mean, it may be about equal. It's just in the United States, it's probably female dominant in the US, but elsewhere, it may be totally different. Um, but I just think, I mean, you just don't hear about that in the news about it being like controversial, right? The sports thing
Hmm.
is what's controversial because, you know, a dance is a
What do you think?
performance, a sport is a competition.
So, what do you think? Well, I mean, ballet would be in some regard. You'd have to get some. Don't they get awards or something? Then it makes
That's
a
true.
company.
It can be like you may be competing against like a different dance troupe. Like you can have multiple dance troupes that compete against each other, but it's not like when you're performing ballet, you're going head to head with someone.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, it's not. It's not like a breakdancing event. Like you saw the breakdancing girl, right? The
Oh,
ray gun.
yeah.
I know very little about it other than the stuff the internet told me that was funny, which it was
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, it's not. I guess it's not like that. And she was pretty bad. I think I can break dance better than her, and I don't know how to break dance.
I would love to learn how to break dance. I
Yeah.
have friends that do it and they're
I
all
think it
good.
would mess up your joints though. It doesn't look good for you.
Well, you have to be careful. I mean, there's a way of doing it. You just have to make sure you're doing everything correctly and safely. Because if you're doing
Mhm.
it correctly with like the proper alignment, the proper form, you shouldn't hurt yourself. But if you're doing it just haphazardly,
I don't. It all looks. I don't know. I don't. A lot of that you'd have to grow into it. If you were older and you tried to get into it late, you wouldn't be able to. It'd take a while to get to those points because that's, you know what I mean. That's that
yeah,
type of fork and everything. But some of that stuff they do, they're just flailing themselves around. So I don't know if it doesn't guarantee you're not going to get hurt. You just need to be in shape because that's. I mean, it's like if you couldn't compare it to like bodybuilding because
yeah,
there's people have studied it and figured out the best way to do this. Machines are all, but that thing is just somebody kind of flicking around on the floor.
right.
I don't know. Like it just, but they're pretty tough. You got to be in good shape for that. That's anyway.
It's interesting though how the handshake evolved, the bow, the curtsy, and now there's like the fist bump. Like, do
That
you
happened during Obama, right?
like how yeah, how did that originate? I can't remember how that like the fist bump came about.
Well, that's what you think is the same thing as people like giving a high five. Like it just come off of that
But
same
how did
same
it
rhyme or reason.
but how did that come about too?
They said the handshake here was for syphilis, so maybe it was the same reasons.
For just not
Uh,
spreading germs? Like let's
yeah.
high five.
Yep. I mean, that's if everybody had syphilis, I would stay away from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that'd be a good thing to have.
Well, I
Hmm.
guess if you're doing a fist bump, you're probably spreading less germs. But high fiving, I mean, you're hand to hand. I
I
don't
don't,
know.
yeah, it's too fast though, right? Don't you get the 30-second rule or the 2-second rule?
I don't know. Does that even work though? I think
Mm.
that's a
No,
myth.
there was a Mythbusters, and I think they tested it, and it actually is true. Like
Okay.
because the amount of time that whatever would be that could be a host for germs is exposed to the germs would have something to do with the amount of germs it would come away with.
Okay. So
So
if
just
we went like
yeah,
this, we wouldn't
it-
share many germs, but if we like held hands for what, more than
you'd have
30
syphilis. You get syphilis.
But
You get
it
syphilis.
ha that's just amazing to me how that many germs can be transferred in just 30 seconds.
I guess I don't remember the episode, but I vaguely remember them doing that one. But yeah, it was I guess the amount of time for them to for the germs to jump ship. I guess I don't know.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, oh, you want to do another one, or you want to keep it moving? I got. What did we do? We did handshakes. That we did.
Hmm.
You don't want to do cat burning?
Is it gonna make me sad?
I
Or
mean, it's already happened.
is it gonna make me cringe?
Probably. Um, hold on. Um,
Wow,
five,
it's thundering where I am. Like hard
it
thundering.
was storming here a short bit ago. Oh, here we go. At the Midsummer's Fair in mid 16th century Paris, cat burning was a regular attraction. A special stage was built so that a large net containing several dozen cats could be lowered onto the bonfire beneath. The spectators, including kings and queens, shrieked with laughter as the animals, howling with pain, were singed, roasted, and finally carbonized. Cruelty was evidently thought to be funny. It played its part in many of Europe's more traditional sports, including cockfighting, bear baiting, bullfighting, and fox hunting. Fox hunting. Huh. Bullfighting, I got. Do you know what bear baiting is? You ever heard of that? Bear
No,
baiting? I don't know
bear.
what that is either. Bear baiting. That's a good one. I saw a thing in, there's this guy, Von Loon. Fuck, I think that's his name, Von Dougal. I can't remember but he wrote a history of the world for kids. And he tells in the history, there's an old story about how to hunt a tiger, how they
Oh,
hunted tigers. Because tigers, they're like cats, so they're not going to act like the other animals and just run. So you have to do something to get them excited. And anyway, so apparently we've hunted bear as well. I'm going to look it up. I want to see what bear baiting is.
yeah. What is bear baiting? Sounds intriguing. I just hate the idea of hunting in general. I could never do it.
That's where the
I,
teddy bear comes from. You know that, right?
the teddy bear, I thought it came from Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he was hunting bear, and they brought him a baby bear to kill because he hadn't found anything, and he felt bad for the animal, wouldn't kill it.
Yeah.
So I think he probably killed it. But it's a good story to tell the other one. Here we go. Bear baiting is a blood sport. Okay. Sport in which a chained bear and one or more dogs are forced to fight one another. It may also involve pitting a bear against another bear. I guess I don't know. It cuts off. So that's what bear baiting is. I don't
And
feel any better knowing that.
I don't feel
Um,
better knowing that.
Bear against another animal. So they just essentially they chained a bear up and had it fight other animals.
I see. Wow, is
Hmm.
it storming where you are?
Let me see. No, it's blown over. Yours is going to blow over too. It wasn't supposed to last very long.
It's storming where I am. It's pretty wild. I love how I have this like beach background, but in reality, it's like storming outside my window. I'm surprised
I
you
like
can't like hear the lightning. I'm surprised the microphone isn't picking it up.
it's thundering here. Do you remember the scene in you ever seen Poltergeist?
No, because that's like a horror movie.
Oh, that's the best horror movie.
I don't like horror.
Oh, like the kids doing that thing where you count between the thunder and the lightning.
Oh,
Yeah, and he's counting and it's getting closer and closer. Hmm. I don't know. But that's I can't believe you haven't seen that movie. That's a good movie.
I don't like watching horror movies, so uh,
When I was a kid, I watched that movie at the babysitter's. They let the babysitter let us watch it. My parents wouldn't have approved, but she was just doing anything she could to keep us. We were a bunch of us kids were just kind of pretty much locked in this room, and she just throw stuff at us to keep us entertained. Because shitty babysitter. Well, my parents were just trying to find somebody. Anyways, she locked us
like
in there and made
literally
us
like
play.
throwing things. Like
Oh yes, yeah. It was just this big room, like a den, and there's a bunch of kids because she was taking on way more kids than legally she should have been able to take. And we were all kind of just pushed into this room. And she'd open the door every now and throw in toys. What else did she throw in? Food. I mean, just like we were just like we're treated like I might treat a dog that was visiting. But anyway,
jeez.
she put on movies because the TV was always on. And she played like Poltergeist for us. And I remember when I was a kid, my brother was telling me he wouldn't watch it, and he said, "You don't want to watch this. Don't watch it." And I kept saying, "I'll be okay." And I watched it, and so there's a scene in the movie where this guy goes in the bathroom and he peels his face off. And my dad had come home from work like that evening, and he was sick and he was throwing up, and I thought he was in there pulling his face off. And then there's a scene
Oh,
where this clown attacks this kid, and it's this toy clown. It wraps its arms around him and everything. That
yeah.
same Sunday after I watched that movie, this lady Kay at the church that my mom took us to made my brother and I dolls, clown dolls, and give them to us as a gift. And so my mom made us take them. I was scared to death of that fucking clown. And then she made me keep it in my room because, oh, you don't want Kay to know you didn't keep it. That's mean. So she made me keep that clown in my room. And so this clown's sitting on a fucking chair, just like it does in the movie, just staring at me, getting ready to kill me. And I mean, it was pretty
Oh.
far off from that clown, but that's freaky. Yeah. No,
That's not very nice.
no, it was a horrible. Yeah, but yeah, Poltergeist is a great movie. They build a house on top of a graveyard. They just throw the stones away, and to save money, they don't dig up the bodies, and so all the neighborhood is haunted.
Hmm.
No, you got to watch that movie. I can't believe you haven't seen
I
that
don't
movie.
like the spooky. So I don't mind like spooky, suspense, mystery, psychological thrillers because psychological thrillers make you think about psychology, psychological
Mhm.
thrillers. I like that. I do not like. Why does your video keep going off? That's weird.
Oh, because I'm responding to somebody. Sorry. Let's see. The phone only will do so much. Let me see. Okay, you back? I think you're
Yeah.
there. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah.
No, I can still hear you, but yeah.
So you're using your phone?
Yeah, it has better resolution than this computer. The computer is, I think, 10 years old, maybe 5 years old. But it was computers, you buy them, you get to your car, you put it in your car, and it's already obsolete, right? Isn't that how that works? Maybe
Yeah.
you plug it in at home and it just comes up on the screen and says, "You don't want me. You don't want me anymore. You just go ahead and throw me away. Go back to the store. My better is already there." But anyway,
Yeah.
so you said you like psychological thrillers?
Yeah, I
Or
like that
okay.
more than horror because horror is just like nothing but like somebody killing. I don't like slasher films where it's just like one bad evil person going around killing everybody and then it's
Mhm.
because I'm like, this doesn't
Um,
challenge my mind. It's kind of boring, predictable, and I don't like watching people suffer. I just don't enjoy
well, that
watching
makes sense.
people suffer.
But
So,
I get the slasher movies. They do have a certain taste to them, but like that movie might actually be psychological. I mean, the scenes in it. There's this
okay.
scene where they invite this psychic lady, and she's real small, and she has this really kiddish voice, and she starts talking to the demons, and their daughter's trapped in the wall, and they're talking. I don't know. It's that one might be psychological. It might, if you know the movie Midsummer,
Hmm.
that's very psychological and cerebral. You know that one?
Yes, I didn't like
You,
it.
you didn't like I that movie haunted me. For a couple of
Yeah,
days I had trouble sleeping.
that's why I
That was
didn't
a
like
fucked up movie.
it.
Oh no, but that maybe that's good though, right? It's supposed to stir you, right? That's what means it matters, is if it fucks with you, right? You froze. Why did you freeze? Can you hear me? Ham. All right. Can you see? I don't know if you can hear me. Hello? Hey, can you hear me? Oh, I think you left. Did you leave? I think you did. Yeah. I don't want to wait. I love to